Hello, beautiful souls. My name is Jessie, and welcome back to another episode of Rewire to Inspire. The show where we'll dive into self-love, learn tangible ways to rewire the brain, and discovering your soul's purpose. The goal of Rewire to Inspire is to encourage listeners to begin doing the hard work, to get curious and open to maximizing your life. Our mindset shapes how we live. Depending on life events, traumas, and personal experiences, our mindsets are all vastly different. However, one thing we all have in common is the ability to rewire our mind, to change the narrative, and to pivot our lives. I hope you leave each episode with the belief that you are so worthy to live a life true to you. I look forward to chatting with you every single Tuesday and Thursday and helping you grow exponentially in all areas of your life. Without further ado, here's today's episode.
Hello, you guys, and welcome back to another episode of Rewire to Inspire. I am your host, Jessie Brown, and I am really excited to be jumping on the microphone with you all for episode number 148. Happy Thursday. I hope your guys' August is off to a phenomenal start. I hope your day is going well, your week is going well, your vibe is good, your life is good, all the things. If you missed Tuesday's episode, oh my, it's a bit of a heavy one. It's a bit of an emotional one, but I think it's a good one. I haven't even fully decided the title of that episode because I recorded it prior to recording this episode. There's a little bit of gap in time in between because, like I said, it was a heavier one. It was non-scripted, from my heart, from my intuition, and we dove in. But I think it could be exactly what you're needing to hear. And it was very just from my heart of how I've been feeling. And maybe if you've been feeling the same way, we can relate together, we can grow together, we can jive together. And so I really encourage you to check out that episode after today's episode, if you're so inclined to do so. For today, we're going to be chatting about 5 reasons you might be feeling stuck in your life. Feeling stuck in your life. What does that even mean? What does that mean to feel stuck in your life? You know the feeling. You know that feeling because you've experienced it many times in your life, whether you realize it or not. We can get into these phases of our life, these chapters of our life, and we're like, I don't know what's next. I don't know what to do. I feel disconnected. I feel lost. I feel confused. I don't know where to go. We can have these experiences and these feelings often, or maybe you're having and experiencing it for the first time severely, because it can come in waves of how heavy it's going to feel. We can feel stuck for like a section of our life. Like, do I stay in this job? Do I stay in this relationship? Do I stay in this friendship? Do I stay in this town? Do I move? What do I do? And then we can genuinely just feel stuck and trapped and overwhelmed and lost in our life. And so allow this to resonate with you specifically. I want this to just be an open conversation about reasons you might be feeling stuck. But again, what being stuck looks like is going to be individualized and unique to each and every one of us. And so I came up with this episode because guess who's been feeling stuck in her life lately? C'est moi, it's me. I've been feeling really, really confused of what is next for me, where I want to go, where I want to pivot. My goals aren't really inspiring me anymore. There's just a lot of things in life lately that I'm like, I don't know. I don't know what I want to do with this. I feel stuck. I feel overwhelmed. And so I took a couple days and I just sat with that feeling and I'm like, okay, what is it that is in alignment? What is it that's not in alignment? What is provoking these feelings? Because when we feel that way for a reason. We don't just, here's the thing. Every emotion that we feel has a message. It has something beneath it. There's a reason for which we feel everything in life that we feel. And the thing is our body always feels it first. Our consciousness and our thinking brain does not always feel it first. And that's because when we're overwhelmed, that prefrontal cortex thinking part of our brain is not online. And so when we are in that disconnected state, it's really, really important and actually really interesting when we can ask our body how it's feeling and how it's doing. And I've recognized lately that when I'm trying to do yoga, when I'm trying to do my work, I just feel fuzzy. I feel overwhelmed and disconnected and like my thoughts aren't connecting. And even if you listen to my podcast episodes from the last couple of weeks, you can tell I'm a little distorted. My coaching calls have felt, they've been great, but I haven't been in flow. The creativeness within me has been a little bit blocked. And it's caused me to have this identity crisis, if you will, of like, okay, everything that I thought that I wanted to be a podcaster, I wanted to be a coach, I wanted to do all these things. I'm like, oh my God, do I want to do any of them? And then you have this massive identity shift within you and overwhelm because you're like, oh my God, everything that I've been working towards and everything that I said and all the reps, it's like, whoa. And I'm like, okay, that's also just a part of life. And if you're feeling stuck, again, you're feeling stuck for a reason, and it can actually be a really, really beautiful thing, because that means that something is inevitably going to shift. If you're listening to this, I'm hoping that even a part of your life shifts regardless. But it's so important that when we have these experiences in life, we don't get too, hurt or bogged down about how it's making us feel, but what the message is that it's trying to push for us to tend to. What emotion are we supposed to tend to? What are we supposed to heal? What are we supposed to learn? It can be easy when we become stuck to stay stuck, because when that happens, we kind of turn within and we can self-deprecate and self-sabotage and become stuck. Furthermore, but if we can look at it from the lens of, okay, what are the reasons in which this is happening, which is my goal that I'm going to dive into in a minute, we're then able to make little shifts. And again, the major thing I want you to know is that if you are feeling stuck in your life right now, know that that is okay. And you're likely feeling stuck for a reason. There is something within you, in your higher consciousness, something within you looking down, saying, something's not right now. You're feeling stuck for a reason. Let's dive into these and see if any, and maybe all of them, resonate with you and how we can begin to do the work on them to shift them, to heal them, so that we can get you back on track. So the first reason you might be feeling stuck in your life is because you are mentally overwhelmed, you are overworked, you are stressed out, you are burnt out, you are just tapped out. Here's the thing. This is the one that I am so guilty of. I am like best friends with burnout. I experience burnout probably every 3 months, and it's ridiculous. I need to get better at my system and all the things, but that's something that I cannot speak on until I maximize and work on for myself. But we're also guilty of this one. Why? Because we overgive. We give of ourselves at the expense of our well-being and our happiness and our fulfillment. And then we end up feeling like shit. And we're like, frig, I wish I would have done something different. But the thing is that when we're in a constant state of overwhelm and we're in that overdrive state, our prefrontal cortex, again, that beautiful front part of our brain that does our processing and it does our emotional regulation and it does our thinking and so many of those vital homeostasis parts of us, it gets turned offline. It's too much. When things in life are too much, it disconnects. And when that becomes disconnected, guess what? We're disconnected from our emotions. We're disconnected from ourselves. And so when that happens, it's really, really hard to think clearly, think rationally. And so when that happens, and this is definitely what's been going on for me, you're not able to think clearly. When you can't think clearly and you become disconnected, guess what? You're going to start to feel stuck. Because when you're disconnected from yourself, your sense of purpose is also disconnected. When that sense of purpose is disconnected, you're running on autopilot. How is it that you're supposed to feel a sense of pride and aware in your life if you're not even really sure what it is you're doing or why you're doing it? That is one of the main reasons you probably feel stuck in your life, is because you're so overwhelmed with everything that you're not even recognizing your actions. You're just going from one thing to the next, to the next, to the next. When we don't take conscious time to come back to our bodies, to come back to our thoughts, to reflect, it's so easy to be an autopilot for days, weeks, months, maybe years. And then we get to a place where we're like, boom, I'm burnt out. We break down and we feel stuck and disconnected. Although, again, I'm guilty of this. This one is so important that we prioritize our mental well-being. doing check-ins with ourselves every single day. Is what I'm doing fulfilling me? Is what I'm doing bringing me joy? Is what I'm doing in alignment? If it's not, why the hell are you doing it? This is something that I have to ask myself all the time. It's like, if you're doing something and you don't know why you're doing it, stop doing it. Life is so short. Yet so many of us are investing all of our precious time doing things we don't give a duck about. And it's like, for what? For other people? For money? For validation? Because we think that's what we're supposed to be doing? As long as you are doing something that does not bring you joy and you don't know why you're doing it, burnout's going to continue to perpetuate. Overwhelm's going to continue to perpetuate. Feeling stuck is going to continue to perpetuate. So that is the first reason why you might be feeling stuck, is because what you're doing is burning you out. It is overwhelming you. It is not fulfilling you, and or all of that, but also maybe it is, you're not checking in with yourself. If you are doing something that is constantly pouring into other people and at the expense of other people, and you're forgetting about yourself, you're going to continue to feel that sense of overwhelm. And so check in on that for yourself. Check in on how it is, what you're doing in your life, where you're investing your time. Is it actually making you happy and fulfilling you? And if it's not, we need to pivot that. We need to shift that. Okay. Number 2. The second reason why you might be feeling stuck in your life right now is because unconsciously or consciously, you're spending a lot of time in self-sabotage. Oh my God, self-sabotage is like my best friend. I don't love her, but like, she's there all the time. And she's constantly bringing me down, which makes you feel stuck in life. If there's constantly that little narrative voice in your head telling you, you're not good enough, you cannot do something, you're not on the right track, nobody will accept you, no one's going to like you, blah, 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 ding, ding, all those internal dialogues. That internal dialogue for me has been louder, it's been unusually loud than it has been in the past. While simultaneously, there's another voice in my head saying, that's not true. We know that's not true. We know we're worthy. We know we're smart. We know whatever. And they've just been arguing. But so much of this happens unconscious. Here's the thing. We have 60,000 roughly thoughts a day. 80 to 90% of those are unconscious thoughts we don't recognize. When you begin to recognize those unconscious voices that happen playing in the background, it is the most annoying, overwhelming thing in the world. And I'm definitely at a place, and I think that I've gotten here by connecting to my higher self, doing very heavy, intense meditation practices, and really, really, really honing in on that internal dialogue. I notice a lot of those things and I feel them a lot heavier than most people. But the thing is when we're investing our time unconsciously into self-sabotage, we're lowering our vibe without even realizing it. And when we lower our vibe unconsciously without realizing it, we might externally begin to project that. And other people will start to notice, and we'll start to notice for ourselves. And so I encourage you to ask yourself, how much time do you think you've been spending unconsciously in a toxic headspace? How much of your internal thoughts are harming you? It's really easy to become stuck in life because we get in our own way. And we get in our own way and we feel stuck when our worth takes a hit, when our belief takes a hit, when how we view ourselves and our self-esteem and our self-image is taking a hit. And so I wanted to write this down because I recognize that that's been a huge one for me lately of why I've been feeling stuck, is because I have this thought of, so my self-image has always kind of been meh. It hasn't always been great. I work on it and I know my truth is not what my mind tells me, but it's basically like we buy our thoughts or we don't buy them. So we buy them, meaning we believe them, we jump on them, or we notice that they're happening, but we don't buy them. It's basically called cognitive fusion and cognitive diffusion. I think I've talked about that on here before. And when we buy into our thoughts, and so lately for me, this has been, you've gained weight. And I know surface level saying that, most people be like, would you shut up? Would you stop? I have, in a healthy way, because I was way too small a year's time ago, but I have gained a little bit of weight. Again, in a healthy way. I've been working out more and it's good. However, That's been really, really hard on my mind because my mind doesn't tell me you're healthy. It's been telling me you're fat, you are overweight, you need to lose weight, you are not good enough, da, 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 da. And then that makes me just feel stuck. I get frozen in time. And when I get frozen in time like that, which we all experience, it stops me from taking action because I'm just spending so much time having toxic thoughts in my head, which can make us feel stuck. This happened to me a couple of days ago when I was trying to record. I could not get myself to express anything because my internal dialogue and self-sabotage was just so loud that I couldn't get myself to record. Obviously, we all experience this differently to different degrees, the amount in which you're aware of it happening, but we do all experience this. And so I encourage you to assess for yourself how much conscious or unconscious self-sabotage is happening for you in your life. Number 3, you've grown and old world is no longer serving you. This one's a beautiful one. But here's the thing. When we start to grow, when we set new goals, when we set a new mission for ourselves, when we begin to develop and shift our life, we basically have old world and new world, meaning the old person's places, things, and ideas that used to fulfill us, we used to spend time in, we used to invest energy in. And then we have this shift that happens because inevitably when we make shifts in our life, everything else is going to be a byproduct shift of that. And so these two worlds can begin to argue and we can begin to feel like this identity crises in between the two. And you can begin to feel stuck in your life when you know you're supposed to go to new world and that's what fulfills you, that's what serves you, that's what you're working on, and you go back to old world. You revert back and then you feel stuck. This used to happen to me all the time with my friend groups. I would leave toxic friend groups and I would be very, very lonely, but I knew that I was working on my mission and my goals and things that brought me joy. And what I would do is because I felt lonely, I would go back and I would hang out with those people. And I would always, always feel like shit. And it would make me feel stuck. It would make me depressed. It would make me anxious. It would make me overwhelmed. And it would hinder my growth because I was reverting back to old world. The thing is we need to recognize that when things are no longer serving us, it is better to be lonely. And I know that it sucks. I know being lonely sucks so deeply. Trust me, I get it. I am one of the only people in my circle that is as focused on growing at all. And so, of course, I'm not really going to relate to that many people, and it's lonely AF. However, I would prefer to feel lonely knowing that I'm in alignment than continue to go back to old friend groups that don't value that don't value me, that don't value what I value. Because that's the thing is we take hits at our own self-esteem at the expense of just being validated by other people. And we begin to feel stuck. And I see this with clients all the time because they do really, really great for like 3 weeks. And then they go back to old world and they're like, I feel like shit. And I'm like, of course you do. You're out of alignment. And so that's a reason that you might be feeling stuck is because you're investing too much time around persons, places, things, or ideas that aren't serving the life that you are trying and aspiring to become. Number 4. Okay. One or more of your basic needs is not being met. It's going to be really easy to feel stuck in life if our basic needs aren't being met. What does that even really mean? So if you've heard the acronym HALT before, hungry, angry, lonely, tired. Basically, this is something I would use with clients all the time to be like, when you are overwhelmed or even just throughout the run of the day, I want you to halt and ask yourself 0 to 10, how hungry are you? How angry are you or agitated? How lonely are you? How tired are you? If one of those is a yes, I'm feeling that, you are going to feel a little bit off. Think about it. Whenever you feel hungry, you can't really concentrate. When you're tired, you can't concentrate. When you're lonely, you can't concentrate. When you're angry, you can't concentrate. When these basic emotions and things within us are off, we're not going to be able to concentrate, meaning we're going to start to feel stuck in life. It's beginning to assess how much of these are leaking into the next day. The biggest one out of all these, actually the 2 biggest ones, are lonely and tired. Are you getting enough sleep? Are you resting? Are you looking after your body? Are you nourishing your body? But the lonely one is the one that I see the most. Because if you do not feel connected to other people, it's hard to feel connected to yourself. This is one that I've dealt with for most of my life, and I chatted about on Tuesday pretty in depth because When we don't have that sense of community, that sense of connection, that sense of belonging, it can be really easy to start to feel stuck in your life. Because without that purpose, without that sense of belonging, you really start to contemplate your identity. And when your identity becomes in a contemplative state and you don't feel like you belong, it's almost like everything becomes numb. Everything becomes still, it becomes slow, becomes on autopilot, becomes uncertain. And then we can start to feel stuck. And so I encourage you to rate yourself 0 to 10 on each and every one of those, where you've been spending the most time. If you've been feeling lonely, it makes sense that you probably feel stuck in your life. As much as we do not need to have validation from other people, as human beings, we need connection. And when we feel lonely, we feel off, we feel isolated, we can start to feel depressed, right? And then everything else is kind of a byproduct, a ripple effect of that. And so I encourage you to ask yourself, how often do you feel hungry, angry, lonely, and tired? And could that be playing a vital role in you feeling stuck in your life? And then I kind of touched on this one, but number 5, you are most likely going to feel stuck in your life if you have not identified or feel a sense of purpose and meaning and direction in your life. This is the one that I've been on lately, where I thought I knew what my purpose was, and I do in some ways. I'm not saying I've lost complete touch, but there's definitely been things come up that I need to shift. And when we don't have that deeper sense of purpose and meaning, when we wake up every single day after day after day, one day doesn't feel bad. And then the next day comes, oh, it's okay. And then a week goes by, it's okay. A month goes by, we might start to feel it. Couple months go by and we're like, okay, I am sick of not having a sense of direction. I'm sick of feeling stuck in my life. And so the thing is that purpose is our reasoning to live. When we don't feel like we know our purpose, we can feel stuck, uncertain, sad, blocked. And so the one thing that I would encourage you to do for this one is to identify what is feeding you, what is bleeding you, what lights you up, what inspires you. Have you been showing up for yourself? Where have you been showing up for yourself? Where have you not? Where have you been keeping promises to yourself? Where have you not? Do you feel like you have a good sense of direction? And if you don't, you are likely going to feel stuck. But again, this is all in great spirits and great news, because once you've identified that you don't have a purpose and you don't have a mission, you can begin to work on that and to become aware of that. And my favorite word, become curious of that. Being stuck is not necessarily a bad thing, but it's how long you're investing time there. Are you doing things to get you unstuck, or have you just accepted that as who you are? So many of us don't even recognize that we're stuck in life, because that's just all we think we're worthy of, all we think life is about. I encourage you, or I'm telling you that if you do not feel amplified, inspired, excited, willing, curious, you are likely in a numb, autopilot, stuck state of life. And I promise you that there is more. There is more, and there is more for you. But if you do not believe that, you are not going to take the crucial steps to give yourself evidence that more can exist. Life is supposed to be exciting. No, it's not going to be just all rainbows and butterflies, but it is supposed to be so much more than just going with the flow, being okay with mediocrity. It can be so much more than that. You have to identify for yourself if you think that that is what you want out of life, and if you're willing to do the things to become curious, to unleash that within you, and to optimize your life to the next level. So that is number 5, you guys. 5 reasons why you might be feeling stuck in your life right now. I encourage you to reflect on each of these, how they relate to you, 0 to 10. What areas of your life do you feel stuck in? Because again, this can be in categories or it can be holistic, but know that the only way that we can begin to get unstuck is by raising our awareness and taking action so we can begin to pivot them. So thank you guys so much as always for tuning into today's episode. If you guys enjoyed today's episode, it would mean the absolute world to me if you guys could follow along. There's a little plus sign at the top. If you guys could leave a review, share with someone you think would enjoy. Again, my mission is to spread this on it and to have a global impact. I cannot do that without the support of each and every one of you. So if this supports you, this helps you in any way, shape, or form, that would mean the world to me. So thank you guys so much. Happy Thursday, sending you all the love, and I look forward to chatting with you all next week. Bye, you guys.
Thank you all so much for tuning into today's episode of Rewire to Inspire. I absolutely love connecting with you all, so make sure you're following me on Instagram. I am at JessieBrown13. If you enjoyed today's episode, please feel free to leave a review or share with someone you think would enjoy. I look forward to chatting with you all next episode. And remember, get out of your head and into your heart.